So, unless we put all the obligations of connecting professionals to companies on novice professionals, people who are out there and have qualifications and want to work, it's been noted many times that one aspect of the cybersecurity skills gap is that there's just too many hiring managers and HR departments overstuffing their job listings with restrictive requirements that filter out worthwhile candidates. So do you have any thoughts on ways that the screening process could be improved? Is there any way that we can get the people doing the hiring to stop looking for unicorn candidates?
Yeah, I think one thing that came to mind was like looking for passion as opposed to necessarily having all the qualifications.
Right.
I mean, any tech job, for the most part, you're not gonna, unless it's like a very senior level job, the person coming in is not gonna, completely know how to do everything from day one. You're gonna have your own internal tools they have to learn, their own. You may have libraries if it's a development job that they have to learn. Like, you have to expect that there's going to be some on-the-job learning. So, like, a passion for what, for learning, and also, what's, an aptitude for learning. Like, those are the things. Like, I've interviewed a couple of people for programming jobs when I was like transitioning over. We had to like find someone who could take over the ATP platform.
Gotcha.
And that's what I was looking for. It was like, the aptitude, like, to learn the systems and how to do them. Now, opposed to like, do they have the skills?
How did they sort of translate that passion? Was it in the in-person interview, or were you able to sort of read something in their resume that says, oh, this person, is clearly passionate about this? Like, were they able to tell the story sort of on paper or on the screen, or did you sort of get a better sense just by sort of interacting with them in the real world?
I got like a small sense from the resume, but it's definitely the interview. And I think that's like been said about, the hiring or getting the jobs too, is like getting that interview is the hurdle. Like getting your resume to get the interview.
Yeah, what were some of the things in their resumes that you said, "Oh, okay, I have a good feeling about this person"? I'm always trying to sort of help out people who are, just listing things in a very dry way. Like, what did you see where you're like, "Oh, that's an interesting turn of phrase," or "Oh, that's an interesting achievement that they had," or "I wouldn't have thought to look for that," or what have you?
Like projects a lot. Like, even if it was for school, like, they'd give a description about the project.
Yep.
And you could tell they like enjoyed working on it, and
Got it.
and as well as knew how to do it in the first place.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. So once you've received the interview, and since you've done some interviewing, you can speak to this, but what things should cybersecurity professionals be ready to talk about with the interviewers to show off their best qualities? It'd be hard if, for example, hiring managers, rattling off a bunch of rote questions about your best and worst days on the job and what you like and don't like to do. But like, how do you steer the conversation towards the sorts of things that you excel at and that the interviewer should want to know about you, even if they don't know to ask about it?
I mean, definitely think about, what you're bringing to the table, as well as how that relates to the job posting, maybe. So they may not be asking all of everything that was listed in the job posting, but beforehand you can say, well, it required this skill, which I have. So even if they don't ask you about it, you could sort of bring that up and show your knowledge of that. I mean, ask them questions. I'd say don't be afraid to admit if you're not as familiar with something, like, and then focus on the things that you are. One thought that I had, that if you had a multi-interview situation, like if there was something that you weren't that familiar with in the first interview, go and learn about that before the second one. So like, if you come back, and especially if it's the same person, and you've learned something that you didn't know in between the two interviews, that shows that you really are like go-getter and motivated.
Absolutely.
And I think
that'd be a weird thing if you're in your third interview, you're like, nope, still don't know about it.
Also, I think like sort of treat it like a little bit more like a conversation than like a test that you have to pass.
Right.
In programming, everyone always brings up like the whiteboard problems, like dreads the whiteboard problems. And like, in my experience, like, it's not so much about getting the right answer as they want to see how your thought process works and how you reason through your problem solving. What you write on the whiteboard may not work, but if it seems logical and like, what they were looking for, then at least if I was interviewing, that's what I'd be looking for more than, can this code written on a whiteboard actually compile? Like, I wouldn't expect that.
Gotcha. New episodes of the Cyberwork podcast are available every Monday at 1 p.m. Central. And don't forget to check out our hands-on training series, Cyberwork Applied. Each week, expert Infosec instructors teach you a new cybersecurity skill and show you how that skill applies to real-world scenarios. Go to infosecinstitute.com/learn to stay up to date on all things cyberwork.